Good morning, good afternoon, good day wherever you are. This is Max with the RHMax channel, where we talk about everything but investing, not professional advice, financially, anything at all, really. We're just here to talk and have some good discussions. So I feel pretty good. I was talking to Matt a second ago, our guest for today, and I'm tired. I'm good. I'm energized at the same time. All the news coming up with everything. This morning got my run in. Got a couple punches to the bag. Got a little bit of bag workout as well. So feeling good in that respect. Yeah, it's been an interesting last few days. So I know we got a lot to talk about. Again, our guest is Matt Garabedian, aka Phenom Investor. He has a new HEX book coming out, and that's one of the reasons I reached out to him too, because that doesn't happen very often. Not a lot of HEX books floating around, so I really want to cover that. And then yeah, we're going to get into it in a few different verticals, because I know he's into real estate as well. So without further ado, welcome, Matt.
Hey Max, how you doing? Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, doing good. I appreciate you coming. I know we're trying to avoid Richard's stream this morning. Probably the lack of live watchers right now. I imagine it'll tick up in a bit though. But hey, we did our best. It was scheduling, and he tends to just randomly do streams sometimes. So it is what it is.
All good.
Yeah. No. So tell us your story. Tell us, how you got into crypto, how you got into the Reach Your Heart ecosystem. When did it start? How did it get going for you?
Sure. I originally got into crypto in 2017, and of course bought Bitcoin and Ethereum. Had no clue about what I was doing. I was kind of just FOMOing into it because of a group of friends of mine that I do business with and speak with quite often started buying. So I'm like, well, I don't want to get left out. And, just bought Bitcoin. I think at the time Bitcoin was probably like 17,000 and Ethereum, I don't ever know the exact number, but 600 maybe. Okay. And held on to it for a little bit. And then it started crashing. And I'm like, screw this, man. I'm not going to lose money. So I ended up like panic selling it, right? And never looked back. It was just kind of, well, that didn't work, and never really understood what I do now. So, life moves on. And as you mentioned, I've been in real estate since, in some form since 2006, but really started getting heavily into real estate in 2009. So just went about my business and made my living through real estate. And then in early 2021, a buddy of mine was talking about crypto again. And he's like, hey, why don't you come over to the house? He's like, I'm getting on a Zoom call with a guy that is doing pretty well in crypto. So I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? So I went over there and sat on the call and was just observing and listening. And this particular guy, was much younger than us and was talking about decentralization and, why everything is bad because it's centralized in MetaMask and DEXs and DeFi. I'm like, what the heck is this guy talking about? Like, I just didn't understand. It was like a foreign language, right? And looking back at the notes, it was obviously just introductory crypto jargon. But at the time, it felt like it was a foreign language, right? So I just didn't know what he was talking about. But, he pretty much showed us that, at the time, he was sitting on $600 million. And I was like, holy moly, like how
in crypto.
Wow. I was like, I can never do that in real estate. And how do I figure this out? So I ended up hiring him as like a mentor. This is something that I've always done in my career. I've always tried to level up and cut out time. So I'm willing to pay for information. I'm always been willing to pay for a mentor or a coach a private group, a mastermind. I've always invested in myself and my education because I knew that, time is the only commodity that we don't get more of. So if I could buy and cut my learning curve down, then I could advance quicker. And my personality is like, once I understand a little bit, then I'll just dive in and try to get that 10,000 hours of research and getting in the game and making mistakes. And, I just want to cut my learning curve down. Right. So,
was he into HEX, or was that he was just into crypto in general?
Yeah, he was into HEX.
Oh,
but at the time, his number one holding at the time was Cardano, and he was really excited about Cardano. But he's like, keep an eye on this HEX; it's got big potential. He ended up buying, I think, 300 million HEX for $10,000. So he was a very early adopter. So, he was in the game very early, right?
Pretty early.
So I don't know what that number is, but it's 300 million worth. So, at the all-time highs, I mean, he crushed it, right? So
yeah,
he introduced us to HEX. And again, it was still very early in my learning curve. So I didn't understand HEX the way that I feel like I do now. But just as kind of like taking a speculative play and starting to learn a little bit more, I would just buy it, so I started buying at 0.008. So not enough to where it was significant, but I started to buy more, and then the price started going up. So I think my average basis now is a dime, on where I've DCA'd in across the board. And so that turned into, wow, this HEX thing is pretty cool. How do I learn more about it? And then while I was in my discovery phase and really like vibing with what crypto was truly about, that led me to, of course, getting on YouTube and watching different pieces of content, which then eventually led me to Richard. And I liked Richard. At first it was like, I'm not sure about this dude, like where he's coming from, and he wears kind of like funny clothes, but I liked his personality, right? I like that type of person that is not afraid to tell it like it is. And it's obvious that he was intelligent, and I like the fact that he was an entrepreneur, and learning more about his story, that he wasn't, a trust fund baby, right? I
think he gets a lot of respect from being a self-made man versus anything else, just being wealthy.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's not an easy thing to do, right? So that alone was impressive. And then as I started learning more about his point of view and the arguments against why, Bitcoin had its flaws, and then Ethereum, and then all these other cryptos that, obviously have problems. And I started to buy into more of his philosophy, if you will. And then I'd keep an open mind and look at different cryptos. And then I didn't understand how, in my opinion, I think cryptocurrency, it's a very tribal thing. So I didn't understand, Bitcoin maximals, like what does that mean? Then you've got the ETH maxis, then you got the
Richard Heart maxis,
the hexagons, what is it? The XRP army, et cetera, right? So then I started diving into the Twitter world and kind of listening to both sides of the camps and kind of what, HEX stood for. And it seemed like a lot of the early adopters were, people that were diehard and, and really pledged allegiance to it. And so I think I just kind of started observing a lot, and then I'm a reader, so I started buying a bunch of books and learning as much as I can. I mean, I'm nearly certainly not an expert by any means, but I'm putting the hours in, right, to try to become someone that is a wealth of knowledge and learning the game inside the game, right? I think there's a huge internal game that's being played through this blockchain.
Yeah, I mean, just when you mentioned 10,000 hours, I know, you're an avid reader. You definitely seek wisdom, and you want to understand this stuff because you know it's important, and
Sure.
you can see the power it has when you have the understanding and the bias for action, and you make it happen. Nobody's going to do it for you.
It's fascinating too because it is so vast and the potential is unlimited. I don't think we're even gonna comprehend how this looks in 15 to 20 years. You know, a lot of it's getting fudded right now, and you read the news and it's all panic in the streets and DeFi's dead.
Yeah.
It's the future, you know. The blockchain's the future. Of course, not every cryptocurrency is going to survive. In fact, majority of them won't. So then as you start learning about what makes a good solid choice, what's a good cryptocurrency that has the utility, that has the community, that has real world usage and solves problems and a real use case. I mean, those are cliches almost now because that's what everybody talks about. But you know, there's some things down the line that, you know, will really make that a truthful philosophy, you know?
Yeah, I think I look at it like businesses. I mean, there's how many businesses are out there,
Yep.
and they start, they fail, or they continue.
Yep.
It's there. How many blockchains are there out there? How many tokens are there out there? It's. I think the people take that more seriously, or they can't understand it. One of those is because they can't. When they see a business, okay, they can just stop going to that business. They can stop buying its product. But once you get a bag of a token, you want that thing to succeed. You put some hope, you put some dreams into it. Now you may even be irrational, and because you want it to happen so bad. So, but
Right.
I think there's a lot of parallels with businesses. I don't know why people say, "Oh, there's only going to be a few coins." Are there only a few businesses in the world? Are there only a few
Sure.
products? I mean, what is it going to come down to? It's going to come down to people investing in what they like, the community they're part of, what they feel is good for them. And that's not a handful of things. That's going to be a lot of different things. And what makes HEX so special in this, obviously, is the community. The person behind it is successful, is an entrepreneur, has done all these amazing things, and he's already rich. He's not in it for money. There is no rug pull. What billionaire rug pulls? Like,
Right.
show me a billionaire that rug pulls. They don't do it. They don't need to. They
He's in it for
want their
glory.
reputation.
He's
Sorry?
like you said today, he's in it for glory.
Exactly. He's in it for gold.
Yeah.
That's the founder you want. You want the one who wants to be known as doing something crazy good in the world, because that means they don't need any more money. They don't need your money. So they're going to be much more aligned with your goals than anyone else that's trying to do a scam coin.
I agree. It's one more point on this subject, but I think the other piece to this is that people need to become curious. This is fresh in my mind. I wrote this in the book. I said like one of the dumbest quotes I ever heard was, curiosity killed the cat. I think you have to be curious in life in general and in your learning curve and your ability to expand your mind, right? There's so much opportunity in the world that it's unfortunate a lot of people won't become curious because they're too scared to lose. And I've learned that early on. There was when I got into real estate, one of the scams, if you will, was you could buy a house with no money down. And most people, oh, that's BS. Like they're just trying to take your money. That's impossible. How could you buy a house with no money down? How could you or another one was you can make a lot of money with not having money in real estate. Again, that seems like a scam. It's fraud. But I said, if these people are saying it's true and there's proof that it's possible, then why is it a scam? Because they want you to pay for a course, right? So, or invest in your knowledge. So I always look past the average person's mentality, right? Because I don't know about you, but in my growing up in my house, it was, well, that's what rich people can afford. We're not rich, or money doesn't grow on trees, or, you know, you have, you know, champagne taste on a beer budget, you know, and God bless my parents. I mean, they did the best they could, but we never talked about investing. We never talked about growth. We never talked about, you know, owning a business or buying, you know, a piece of real estate. Like, it was
Just go get a good job and save your money. Right.
That's it. Yeah. Save your money and just have enough to pay the bills. And to me, that was like, that's the biggest scam I've ever heard of. Like, you're telling me, you know, you want to trade all of your time for money? How does that make sense?
No way.
You know? And
yeah, I think I was gonna say, I think one of the worst things I've heard anyone tell a kid, as far as giving them motivation to, you know, work well with money, be great, be ambitious, things like that, is, you know, maybe the kid will say something and then they'll say, "Oh, well, it's nice to dream." What are you telling? Are you telling them to forget about what they really want to do? Are you telling them to? I mean, I just feel like that's one of the things that, you know, as a parent too, that you really want to instill in your kids early. Make sure they understand what money is, how it works, how you can make more of it, how to take care of yourself with it, and that it's not everything, but it solves money problems. And there are a lot of money problems out there that you want to solve.
Sure, absolutely. And unfortunately, you know, those parents are just projecting onto their child because they gave up on their dreams.
Yeah.
And it's a sad thing, because at some point, or all of us had imagination when we were children, right? You remember, like, we could take, you know, build a fort in the middle of the house, and, you know, it would be fun for hours and hours, right? And over a period of time, you know, you just get beat down, and society tells you it's got to be this way. School, as an example, you know, really conditions you, you know, to lose that imagination and to lose that dream.
To be a really good factory worker.
Right. Yeah. It's part of the Ponzi, you know?
Yeah.
And once you kind of wake up, and again, your ability to think and be a free thinker is why a lot of people can't see this. And you and I are here talking about this amazing opportunity many years before mass adoption occurs, when all of the opportunity is gone. So it's not easy to sit here and talk about why it's going to be an amazing future, because people only worry about today. And when there's, you know, blood in the streets, right? Like, they'll capitulate and sell their dream. So that's the hard part about this game. And luckily, I've had enough losses that I understand that, you know, time typically cures a lot. So that's why I'm excited, man. I'm here.
Yeah. I mean, it's there's so many things to be excited about in the community. Do you think, have you interacted with other communities in crypto as well, like the Sheeb army, the XRP army you talked about? Like, do people? Is there? I know we got Terra Luna in the recent news.
Right.
Do you think some of those people are coming over? Do you think, you know, are they just kind of crushed and kind of going to let crypto go for a while? What do you think? You think our community is going to grow in spite of all these other things happening?
Yeah, I do. I know. I don't know how true this is, but I heard that Shiba was very impressed with PulseChain. I heard this through a couple different people. Some of the developers were originally going to look at Binance as, you know, their layer one that they were going to build on, and in terms of the metaverse or something. And then looked at PulseChain, and they're supposed to be at the Pulse convention. That, again, this could be just rumors, but I've definitely heard, you know, Shiba. I know there's some discussion going on in the cult DAO. I read the manifesto. I kind of vibe with their framework and philosophy. It's like anti-government.
What is the cult DAO? I saw it on Twitter, but I don't know much about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically, it kind of reminds me of HEX in a sense, that it's got a staking mechanism, but the differentiator being they have a DAO that will take a percentage of the money collected inside of this, in part of the smart contract, and then they'll vote on what type of projects that they want to fund inside the crypto community. So it's kind of like they're trying to support other cryptos that they feel like have a similarity or some type of synergy. And so there's been some proposals to support some development on PulseChain, from what I've understood. There's been a decent amount of talk about, the community on Twitter. I just kind of looked at it and read the manifesto, and like I said, it was kind of cool. Apparently there's a link to the Shiba developers, so it's a definitely shot in the dark. It's not something that I would recommend anybody invest in, but I like to, again, I'm just curious, right? So I could be right, I could be wrong. I just never rule out anything until I give it my own, I guess, investigation, right?
Yeah. First principle thinking is key. You can't just go by what everyone says. You say, okay, is that the truth? Let me go take a look. And
right.
When you're right and everyone else is wrong, as you know, it can pay off.
Yeah, and I think we all go through those steps because as you start getting into a certain, so for HEX as example, when I heard there's no liquidity, right? That was one of the first BS things that I read, right? And I freaked out. It's like, oh my gosh, they're right. And then when you start learning, okay, that's not true. Oh, there's crypto whale bot or HEX whale bot on Twitter, and then you could see large transactions that are cashing out. I'm like, okay, that
very large yesterday in particular.
Right. Yeah. So what are they cashing out on? Candy bars? What's the?
I don't know. It was what 4.8 mil. I think that's what the video I saw this morning. 4.8 mil HEX was dumped yesterday in total over a bunch of different transactions. It looked like.
In dollar
Are
value?
they just not? Sorry.
In dollar value?
Good question.
I think it was more. I think it was 13. I think it was 13 or 14 million HEX. That was
okay.
done.
So probably dollar value then. Maybe that's what they were.
Yeah, I think that was dollar value because it was certainly bigger than.
Yeah, I saw a few big transactions. I think that's true because I think I saw even a 3 or 4 mil transaction myself. And
there was definitely I got it right here. There was one. Yeah, there it is. 12.1 million HEX that was 1.4 million, and then one for 11.8 million HEX, and that was 1.5 million. So that's $3 million right there, just on 2 transactions.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, are people just not interested in PX? Are they not following Richard and following the timeline? Or are they if you're selling HEX right now, explain yourself, or do you have any idea?
Well, I think they were tracking the wallet. It's from one wallet. I guess there's, some assuming it's a certain individual, but that's just speculation. Okay. I don't really get involved in all that. I don't know all the drama.
It could be connected with the recent drama. You think?
I think that was a speculation, right?
That's so weird. It's like is that like going on tilt when you're playing poker? What? I don't get it. What do you sell right before you get a copy? Well, do you think HEX is going down anytime soon? Yeah. Please, if you do, tell me why you think that.
Yeah, this person has another 47 million in HEX.
So it's not all their position.
No. And
okay.
Frankly, that's their prerogative. Although I don't like getting dumped on, but what can we do, right? We could get pissed and complain and all this, but that ain't going to solve the problem. And I guess maybe these things happen, right? It's just how it is. I think HEX has to be more widely adopted in order to have a little bit more of a cushion on some of these liquidation events. and that will come with time, right? But that's just kind of what happens, I guess. You know, it's still a fairly new coin, and people are gonna lose interest in it over time, especially if they're already, you know, they've got a ton of money in it, made a ton of money rather. And at that point, it's like, you know, hey, if they need some cash, why not, you know, dump some of the interest? If, you know, not to say that guy made interest on what he dumped, but
I'm not saying that you should never do it, but like at this time, like right before the fork, you're going to dump it now. You can't wait.
Yeah, you know, I agree with you. It's not there's no justification in terms of arguing that it was a good time at all. Like, I agree, it's horrible timing. Although Richard just announced he thinks it's still weeks away.
So, did that come from the stream?
Yeah. They did. He said they found some bugs. And,
fantastic.
Yeah, he said, I'd rather fix it now, which I agree with, and then hope that no one finds it, or, you know, it comes up after the fact. So he said, to me, it sounds like weeks. So sorry to hammer the mood here.
I mean, I think I don't. Well, just going back to the HEX dumping too. Like, I don't have any emotions when I see it. I'm just like, I don't understand, but I have no negative emotions. I have no positive emotions. I'm just like, huh, that's funny. They're dumping right now. No, yeah. And for the news that we could not be launching mid-May, and we may not launch at the end of May now. Yeah, and I was listening to Hexologist last night, and he was saying he still thinks June. So I could buy into June. I've been saying May. I've been saying April. Something would be announced. May it would launch. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. So maybe June now. What do you think?
Yeah, I've had this perspective since it was announced. Like, I rather have it right than rushed, right? Yeah. Because you only really get one shot at a first impression, right? So
one moonshot.
Yeah, and all of the haters are just going to look for ways to dump on it and talk bad about it. So why give them ammunition to do that just because we wanted to rush the product because the community is impatient, right? So
right.
I think in the long term, I think Richard deserves the benefit of the doubt. He's developed HEX. It's had zero downtime and zero bugs, and there hasn't been any issues. And from what we've seen with Luna and the other attacks that we've read about and understood, and it's way better to have a project that's very secure and taking its time to come to market.
Yeah, I think nobody wants an incomplete product, especially when you've been waiting this long. The worst thing that happens is a false start. It launches, and we're like, whoa, we gotta roll the chain back, or we gotta fix this, or downtime. Like, Richard wants this to be glorious. It's going to be part of his legacy as far as like building that credential of makes the best products. And if that's what you optimize for, you want to get it right, and people have to wait longer. We all have to wait longer. It's just how's it going to be.
And that's the advantage of having a founder that doesn't need money, because a lot of people would try to rush the product because they need the money, right? And
they're going to run out of investors, things like that.
Yeah, and in this case, that's not what's needed. It's like we talked about. It's reputation's on the line, and that is what he's in it for. So he's not going to do it until he's 100% solid. Cool with that.
Yeah, for sure. I think, we just got to be patient, and it's coming. It will be here. And when it does, it may rip your face off. So just keep being prepared, keep being excited, and have no expectations, have no disappointments. Keep that in mind as well.
Sure.
Yeah. So real estate, how so this mood as far as the market goes, it seems like everything is crashing except real estate at this point. Crypto's down, stock market's down, inflation's high, all these things. Do you see real estate changing? Do you see it having some dips too, or do you think it will be everyone's like, well, real estate keeps going up and kind of like that self-perpetuating? This is where money doesn't lose. Let's keep doing that. How do you think that's going to look?
Yeah, that's impossible, right? So everything is cyclical, and real estate's no different. Although it's been on the uptrend for quite a while, really since I feel like it's been a seller's market. I feel since probably 2014, 15. And I believe the last buyer's market wasn't really 09 to 2010. I mean, you could find amazing deals there.
Yeah.
That was right after, the collapse, of course. Will we see that? No, because lending is not out of control. When I first started getting into real estate, if you had a pulse, you could get 100% financing with a stated income, meaning you didn't even have to produce tax returns or any documentation to prove whatever you said. You stated it on your mortgage application, and they funded you. And
Wow.
they were just irresponsible loans, and Wall Street was buying them, and everyone was making money, and that obviously collapsed. So we're not going to see that type of foreclosure activity and just people losing their homes. But interest rates that continue to go up will definitely have a correction in the market. There's still a somewhat of a lack of inventory, right? So the supply is still relatively low. But as more people start to get nervous in terms of sellers that they're going to miss their chance to get the price that they probably would have gotten in the last 3 to 6 months or before, they're going to start rushing because the news is starting to pick up. You already see articles and commentary coming out that the real estate crash is coming. It's not sustainable. It's the next thing. So as the news cycle starts picking up on that and interest rates continue to rise, sellers are going to be like, okay, we got to sell. So then as inventory pushes on the market and then rates go up, the buying power of buyers goes down. So when the buying power goes down, prices start to come down. And that's where you start to see price come down, because they're not going to get the appraisal. So in real estate, in order when you get financing, obviously there's an appraisal done, and the data is only good for 6 months. So they can only use comps within the last 6 months of any previous sales within max 3 mile radius. So as those start moving off and the new values start coming in lower, then the market starts to trickle down. So it'll be 20% is certainly on the table, 30% maybe. But you look at unemployment, right? There's a lot of factors that go into that. A lot of people quit their jobs over the last several months, which is interesting. So if people are still living off of COVID relief funds or unemployment, or they made money on crypto and NFTs, who knows, right? So, and a lot of people may not be willing to put a large down payment. And if they have no active reoccurring income, they can't get a loan. So that's going to squeeze out more of the buyer pool. So we'll see, man. I certainly am selling my real estate right now.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you're selling, and because you think it's going to go down. You think we've hit the
I think this is the best time to sell. And for me personally, most of my real estate is in California, and I now live in Florida. So I'm not planning on moving back to California ever again. So I'm like, well, I will be kicking myself if I don't sell and have to go back through another downturn and wait for that equity to build back up. So I'm like, I'll take my funds and put them into other avenues where I know I could get a better return.
Yeah. Do you think the supply chain helped at least delay the collapse of real estate or the next cycle? Because if you can't get the materials to build the houses, that creates more of a supply crunch, right?
Yeah, it's a good point. It certainly lumber was, there was memes going around, if you remember, that, lumber was, you know, extremely in demand and expensive.
Hmm.
Like, you see like flatbeds with a bunch of lumber on it, and people are like, man, that thing is like a brink truck.
You made me think of the Fast and Furious scenes. You know that they
Right.
always start with the chase and the cars get in front of the
Yeah.
truck and they're going to take it over. But instead of the truck having like all these valuable jewels and all this money, it's a lumber truck. It's like like a logging truck.
I mean, that's a good question. It's possible, but look, real estate is a great asset class. It's a necessity. People always need a place to live, right?
Yeah.
So it's never a bad thing to invest in real estate by any means. But I've been doing real estate so long, and I understand how hard it is to create enough passive income inside of real estate. Not only do you have to be really good at finding deals, you have to understand how to buy right. You need a lot of money to create. So, for example, if you wanted to create $10,000 net of passive income, say in California, I mean, you would need $20 million of debt to do that.
Wow.
So,
It's a big upfront cost.
yeah. And then, sure, you could go to a Midwest, and I have friends that buy a lot of property in the Midwest, Ohio, Indiana, those types of places. Great cash flow, but you've got to take on a lot of problems with tenants. You've got to take on older houses that continue to give you a lot of repair issues. You've got to replace furnaces and mechanical components. You've also maintenance and taxes, insurance. So your net income is minimal, and you have to stack a lot of property in order to get that that number, whatever that number is, for financial freedom. It's possible to do it in real estate, don't get me wrong, but it's a long game, and you have to master some skill sets in order to be able to find good deals. Good deals are not on the multiple listing service. Like, I made a career in real estate by finding off-market properties. That's a skill set that you have to learn, and you have to spend money to do direct mail, to do SEO, to do pay-per-click, to have sales skills to be able to pick up deals from motivated sellers at 60 or 70 cents on the dollar.
And friends too. Your network is so powerful in real estate.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, and management is a bitch. Like, people, when you have tenants, they're never calling you with good news. It's, I can't pay the rent on time. I don't have the money to pay the rent. Screw you, evict me.
Yeah.
Or, hey, this broke, come fix it.
Hey, Matt, just calling you to let you know we really love this place and we appreciate you putting it on the market.
Yeah, never, right? So, you've got to figure out what game you want to play. And for me, I see the opportunity in crypto to just absolutely streamline your wealth in a short period of time. Yeah, there's a lot of obstacles to overcome. There's a period of time that you're going to, have to go through the dips, and you're going to have to study and understand what type of cryptocurrencies you're investing in, and make sure you don't get rug pulled or scammed, or, get into a situation where you lose all your money. But, the data is there. Like, you could definitely see that if you've got the mindset to hold on and just delay gratification, like Richard talks about, it's a whole nother generational type of wealth that you could build. And
well, what do you think? Speaking of real estate and crypto, what do you think are the complementary pieces? Do you think, being in crypto and being in X, being in real estate, being in stocks, what are the two, big investment vehicles, two asset classes? For example, of course, you have the most experience, it sounds like, with crypto and real estate. Like, how well do they complement each other, and just like what overlap is there, if any, and can they work together?
Well, real estate guys want to get into crypto, and crypto guys want to get into real estate. So I think there's a great synergy there, because once you've hit it big in crypto, then it's all about preservation and putting it into assets that could produce cash flow. Not that you can't produce cash flow in crypto, because as DeFi and staking and, but tether through a loop into everybody. So that's going to ruffle some feathers until they figure that piece out. But once you have the money, go and say, for instance, with like, I'm interested in how, why am I drawing a blank right now? But oh my gosh, what's the lending opportunity on PulseChain? Liquid loans.
Liquid loans.
Yeah, liquid loans. Interesting, because you could borrow against your Pulse, right? Take that money and go buy an apartment building, right? That you get depreciation, you get tax benefits, you get write-offs, you get cash flow, you get appreciation, you get all these benefits that crypto doesn't have in terms of depreciation and tax advantages. And in some cases right now, it's still a little unproven on the tax flow or on the cash flow piece. And you get, this asset that diversifies your exposure. Apartment buildings are an amazing way. I think mobile home parks are a great potential value add piece that you could find, where you can raise what they call the net operating income in real estate, which values your property higher when you can increase your net operating income. And that's just a function of raising rents and minimizing your expenses. And the way you minimize expenses is through value add, upgrading plumbing or fixtures or electrical or the roof, just making sure that, your building is being maintained properly, and also putting in energy efficient components to it, solar as a example. So I like that piece. But then real estate, why do people want to get into crypto, is because of what I talked about. Like, you can make 10,000x on your money. Shoot, even a 500x is unheard of in real estate. They're not going to build.
Wrap their heads around it.
Yeah. You're not going to build a better building that's going to appreciate 10,000x. Like, it's just not possible. But we've seen it
century.
Here.
Maybe a few centuries ago in Manhattan or something, but not this century.
Yeah, that time's come and gone, right?
Yeah.
Unless we start building on the moon, right? So we're not going to see that.
Mars. Elon says Mars.
Yeah. So we're not going to see that in our lifetime. So this to me, I thought real estate was going to be my opportunity to build, generational wealth. I don't believe that anymore. This is my gold rush. Mm-hmm. Like, this is our opportunity. And I don't believe that opportunity is going to be afforded to people even in 10 years, because I believe mass adoption will be more than likely occurring at that period of time. Maybe that's a little sooner, but as mass adoption occurs, so volatility decreases, which then doesn't allow us to have these moonshot opportunities.
Do you think so? I know I remember funding Jim. He was talking about how he's also into real estate, and I think I heard him talk about he was trying to get his tenants to pay in HEX, and he would give them a discount. Do you think cool. Do you think that kind of stuff would work? Would you ever consider doing that, just as a way to promote it and get more people on and stuff like that? Or do you think your tenants would even be interested? Maybe you'd only go up to your commercial tenants or something like that.
No, I think there's an argument for that. I think it's kind of cool where you have a landlord that's teaching you how to A, get into a new asset class, and B, start learning how to grow your wealth. Right. I think there's a piece to that could be kind of cool. And
you trust your landlord a little bit more, instead of just someone randomly telling you about it. You're like, yeah, my landlord, he seems like he's got his stuff together because he has provided me shelter. So maybe I'll listen to what he has to say. He seems successful because he has assets, stuff like that.
Yeah. I think that could be kind of a cool piece, right? Like, you're teaching people about how to take the future of their wealth and their finances in their own hands, you know, into a decentralized economy. And I'm a believer in that. I think once it kind of clicks for people that they can go and learn how to take their crypto, or how to get into a liquidity providing, or how they can borrow against their crypto at a 0%, right? And other, you know, being intelligent enough to understand not to over leverage and not ape into crazy APY type Ponzi schemes, right? But something that's conservative in a sense, that, you know, has been proven, that's been audited, that's got, you know, a track record. When those things start, people start comprehending that they can make these types of yields in the DeFi space, why would you ever put your money in the bank, right? So that starts to become very bullish, in my opinion, when people can, again, go back to being curious and not being sheep, and continuing to play the victim role and listen to their whatever the government says and believes they have their best interest at heart, which it's mind-boggling to me that people still believe that and trust the system. So we have some work to do to educate, and we still are at our infancy, I believe, but it's coming, and we're pioneers of that. So I think that's cool.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll say hi to the chat real quick. Crypto Compassion's here. Super appreciate it. You're here for almost every stream, it seems like. Appreciate the support. It sounds like Richard's stream ended because we have many more listeners now. So that's awesome.
Cool.
So yeah, keep the questions coming, keep the comments coming. Anything for Matt, for me, we're talking real estate, we're talking HEX, we're talking other communities. I'm going to mention something that I think it's not a lot of people talked about. I mentioned it to Matt before the stream. I asked him if he remembered CFD token, Richard's first ideal for a token that he publicly talked about. And so you got into HEX, you got in 2020, 2019?
I got into HEX in January of 21.
January 21. Okay. So this was, there's a great interview with Doug Polk about 4 years ago, if you search YouTube, where Richard explains the details of CFD token. But essentially, Richard, history lesson here, since I've been following him since 2017. He had an idea to work with this scientist gentleman named David. And there was an interview with him he did a while back too, to explain all the technical details. But to create CFD token, computational fluid dynamics, that's what it stands for. And it was sort of meant to, from what I remember, to solve some of these scientific problems. Sort of, if anyone remembers there's like a whole bunch of coins that are meant to solve problems, like solve scientific stuff. So like putting the work towards solving these, you know, complex calculations instead of just proof of work specifically. I think that was the case for it. So yeah, he talked extensively about it for a while, and that was probably maybe into 2017, early 2018, and then he just sort of stopped talking about it, and we didn't hear much about it anymore. I think the website's still up. I think if you search Google for cfdtoken.com or .net or something, it's still up. But interestingly enough, like there was a token before HEX, almost. There was definitely a design. He talked about it in detail. That was going to be the token he was going to launch, and then, you know, something changed. Maybe you know, he figured out it was too hard. I think he did address it a little bit later on. Maybe he was like, oh, it was just too hard. We just couldn't do it in time and launch and all this stuff. And then he went on to HEX, and just all you heard is HEX after that. But I'm always curious, you know, I know a lot of people don't know that story because they weren't around, you know, back then. But I wonder if HEX would have even launched had CFD token went forward. Would we even had this product? You know, would CFD token launched? It took all of Richard's time and, you know, all of his energy and his ideals, and HEX would have never came along, or would he, you know, got through with it and just like he did PulseChain, say, hey, now I want to create a blockchain CD and go on. I don't know. What do you think, Matt? Do you think HEX would still exist if CFD token went forward?
I mean, Richard's an innovator, right? So he wants to win. So obviously, a lot of people could have just rested on the laurels of HEX, right? And said, hey, I'm rich, I did it, I'm a goat, and right off into the sunset. But I think there's a lot of boredom in being wealthy. A lot of people think the destination is becoming wealthy and rich, and once I have that, it's everything's perfect. But there's a lot of miserable people that are rich and wealthy, and money doesn't solve everything. So that's why you kind of see a lot of people that end up dying after retirement because they lost their purpose, they lost their motivation, and what really drives them. And I think Richard's driver is recognition and being right and glory. So for him, I think he just started. So had he launched that token before HEX, HEX is such a great concept and idea, and now a real working product. I can't imagine him not releasing HEX, just like he's releasing PulseChain and PulseX, and now from what I understand, there's going to be a wallet, and who knows after that. So I think he's an innovator, and he's looking for the next best thing.
There will be another SAC this year, I suspect. He took a few months off from the SAC deal, but sounds like there's a wallet coming out, and especially if PulseChain launches this summer, I can't imagine there being another launch. He's probably already got people working on the wallet now.
I wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised.
Your book. You wrote a book. You're writing a book. You're about to release a book. Tell us about the new HEX book.
Yeah, excited for it. I think my goal is to have it on Amazon by the end of June. Feel pretty good about that timeline. I ended 2 more weeks.
2 more weeks.
Yeah, but
are you going to time it with PulseChain launch when he announces it? You're like, all right, Amazon, I'm going to hit the button at that point. I have no idea how it works, but that'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be cool timing if that came together. I'm excited for it. I think it'll be great for people. I share, a little bit more. I kind of like I wrote it in a sense that it's like, hey, like if you and I were like having a beer at a bar or having a cup of coffee, it's like I'm just talking to you as a friend, and I'm not trying to get so like technically overloaded on that you don't know what I'm talking about, because I feel like I've read crypto books and they're very technical in a sense, and there's a lot of verbiage in there and terminology that like a lot of people don't get. So I tried to bring it down in a sense, and like here's where we're at, here's where I think we're going, here's how to get onboarded, here's how to secure your crypto, here's where Bitcoin started, and here's the flaws that were discovered. Here's why HEX I feel is the superior product. Here's where I think PulseChain and PulseX are going. Here's the history of fiat. Here's what decentralized versus centralized means. Here's how you secure your crypto. Like just everything kind of a macro type view, and giving my perspective of a guy that spent most of his career in real estate, and how a lot of people real estate is a great idea to build wealth. And there is certainly a very solid use case as to that being true. But I also believe that we have this like really short amount of time and opportunity, that we have this other opportunity to like really accelerate that timeline. And freedom to me is to be able to do what you want, when you want, with whomever you want. And I can't think of a better, I can't think of a better, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of a better opportunity, for lack of better words, than where crypto is right now and where it's going to be in 5 years. And if we both have the same goal and the target is freedom, and my vehicle was vehicle estate, and knowing what I know about real estate versus crypto now, I'm taking crypto 10 out of 10 times. Because you could take $10,000 in crypto and turn that into millions. You can't do that you can't even get in the game in real estate with 10 grand. So there's a huge discrepancy there. So if people are truly looking for an asset that they can DCA into with a few $1,000s, be patient, study the game, try to put in 100 hours of research before they invest into anything on HEX or anything. Like really research, look at all the angles, be curious, and do your research.
I'm curious too. Like, can you take us through the process of when you started writing the book, how you decided to publish it? With the new HEX book coming out.
Yeah, this is actually my second book. I actually wrote another book that came out in August of last year. So I'm pretty familiar with the process. I have a friend that actually, his career is helping people publish books.
Great friend to have.
Yeah, they make it very easy, the process, because you just essentially interview with him and his team. The interview process is around 6 hours. And then a month later, you have kind of a working manuscript. In a sense, it's like a ghostwriter, but I go in and I edit it and put it back into my own words, because they're trying to like convey this story based on the 6 hour interview. And a lot of times it's like, well, I wouldn't say it in those words, or this doesn't make sense. So I kind of go back in and rewrite the book, but the flow is there.
Oh, very interesting.
They break it into, they tell the story in the best way they can. And then I go back in and change the flow, or I take this out or add this. And you go back and forth with the edits. And once you're good with the first draft, then you can actually order a copy of your book. So you'll see how it looks printed with the cover design and the actual. Then you go in there, look for any, or spelling issues. And then once you make any edits on that, then they launch it for you on Amazon. They do a push for bestseller. So it's a full comprehensive program, and he's doing really well with it. So if anyone wants to write a book, feel free to hit me up. I think everybody has a story to tell. So, why not like put down author as one of your accomplishments in your life? I think that's kind of cool. Like I use it as an introductory piece. Like, like that's how we connected, right? I'm like, hey, I'm writing a book, you're like, well, you don't hear that every day. So like, I like to hear what this guy has to say. It's kind of a piece to get some eyeballs and have people kind of somewhat interested in to hear what you have to say.
Yeah. So what's the name of the company?
Sorry?
What's the name of the company? They have a website or anything?
Oh, yeah. DreamWorks. Is that what it is?
Yeah, we'll get the link. We can post. I'll drop the link in the description later.
And hit me up, yeah. Because I'll introduce you directly to Mike, who's the owner. He's a good friend.
Okay. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure there's lots of people out there who have ideals. Maybe they want to do pulse books. Maybe they want to do other things. Like you said, it sounds like it sounds like they make the process much easier than you writing everything, you doing all the editing and all that stuff.
I don't think I could have navigated the process by myself. Certainly not. Even having one book under my belt, they work magic over there. They help you from A to Z. So like they help you with the cover design. You'll get like 100 different covers.
It's a nice cover.
Yeah, and they get the Amazon deal going, and it's perfect.
And so do they keep some of the royalties, or is it all yours? I'm just kind of curious.
You just pay a fee. So you pay them depending on like if they, like my first book, like I had a lot of it written already. so I didn't have to pay as much. But this one I had nothing written, so you just pay like, they're different prices, so I couldn't quote what the
Sure.
book costs right now. But depending on the scope and what you want, but it's an investment, but it's not like ridiculous where it's way out of someone's league.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I think a lot of people they like to write, they want to write. Maybe they want to get ideas out there, but they just don't know where to start. They don't know who's going to help them, who can help them, things like that.
I definitely have the contact for that. And I've seen your shorts. You helped the dude onboard. Yeah, that's true. What's up, man?
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a guy sacrifice $1 million for PulseX. So we found that content and we put it out there.
That's great. Thanks. Yeah. Makes Crypto Arts. Not sure if he wants to say it on stream, but I'll let him decide.
I sacrifice. Yeah, well, that's like out there.
Okay.
40,000 for PulseChain. Yeah.
Okay, PulseChain. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's wow. I mean, if the returns come back the way that we're thinking, you may be set for it, my friend.
I hope so, man. That'd be cool. It's when you start looking at the history of layer ones and dexes as well. I mean, it's like, shoot, I like my odds. I'm in a group of guys that are all real estate guys, right? We made their money in real estate. So when we have to put like 40 grand up to make potentially 650 times our money, we're like, where do we sign up? Because it's kind of a muscle, right? It's like, I'm used to buying houses sight unseen. If the number's right, I'm like, I'll wire the money. If I get clean title, I already know my numbers. I know what the comps are. I know what the rehab is. So I don't really need to see it. I can see pictures and I'm good with it. So after years of doing that, it's just like, yeah, I could wire a couple $100 grand to buy this house because it's an asset. I get it. I know what I'm buying. I know the comps. Like I said, I know the game. So did I start like that? No way. Like I had inspectors and contractors and inspections, and I wanted to understand every square foot of that property. But after you do it hundreds of times, you're comfortable, right? So right. I get it, right? I understand like money's attracted to speed. And a lot of people don't understand that because they just haven't worked that muscle yet, right? So it's just something that I've been fortunate enough to be able to feel how scary it is to send a wire and not sure how it's going to work out. I've lost money in business. I've lost money in deals. So I'm not scared to lose. And I think that's an attitude a lot of people need to take in order to be successful, because Elon's lost money. Bill Gates has lost money. Richard's lost money. If he's telling you hasn't, he's not telling the truth. Anybody that's in business has lost money. And if you say you haven't lost money, then you're just not doing enough. Like it's just part of the game.
Maybe you're not participating if you haven't lost money. Yeah. And that's just because you think you're not losing money. You're still getting eaten by inflation 9 times out of 10.
Well, yeah, that's fat. Everyone's in that boat.
There's a good mental model too around loss aversion. That's what you're talking about, is people would rather not lose than win. The fear of losing makes them not want to take the risk to win. You tell somebody, let's flip a coin. If heads, I'll give you $10. Tails, you give me $10. Nobody will do it, right? Nobody will do it. Even if you do it, say best, we'll try it a couple times. They'll be like, no, I'm good. You got to really make that reward look so attractive for them to get into it. Loss aversion, it's a huge thing, and it affects everything in every industry.
Yeah, I mean, there's and opportunity cost. So I would rather put my money on a potential, early cryptocurrency than buy another rental. Right there, you go. Like, I know how that rental is going to perform. And if my money was tied up in that deal and I lost out on potentially being able to sacrifice into Pulse or PulseX or a future sacrifice, like there's opportunity cost inside that. Yes, it may not work out, but I'm also looking at the historicals, like you've got so much data out there, you can make educated bets. You know, and so that alone makes a lot of sense to me, right? So, you know, and plus the tokenomics and the game theory, and Richard's a master at that. So what he's got planned, already probably implemented, of course, you know, now it's just about the rest of the people catching up. And I think on average 1.5 to 2 years for the slower type people to catch on to what we already knew a year ago. You know,
it happens. I don't know why people can't look back and see this stuff happens. It happened with Bitcoin, it happened with Ethereum. Everyone who bought Ethereum at $1, there's a lot more people that bought it at $10 and bought it at $100. Even more people that bought it at $1,000. You want to be in early. Now, I think people's biggest fear is that it's a scam. It's going to go to zero. I better get out while I can. How are you ever going to invest in anything if you have that kind of attitude? How, like, you're just going to be constantly scared all the time. You're just not going to invest if you think that whatever you're investing in is so risky that it could go to zero. And even if it does, diversify. Don't put all your money into that one.
Right.
You know, put it into other stuff so you aren't broke and homeless if something does happen.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think you know, I've got a pretty decent amount of money into crypto, and sometimes it's nerve-wracking, I'm not going to lie, but at the same time, I've got multiple other sources of income. I've got my real estate, I've got, you know, a couple other companies, I'm somewhat diversified. So it's scary to like have all your eggs in one basket. I understand the nervousness of people that want it now because they put all of their money in hoping that this works out. So it's very stressful in that sense. You definitely need to make sure you're not over leveraged or putting your money into this and everything's counting on it, right? Like it's crazy to put yourself in that position, but it's also, I understand, because it is very tempting.
I cannot, it's so hard for me to feel bad for people who put their life savings in and lose it. I just can't find it in myself to be like, you did it. Like, you have to be accountable. First of all, why the hell did you do that? That's very dumb. Do not do that. Why'd you put all your life savings? Why not 50%? Why not 80%? Why not a significant number? If you put all of your money in something, that's on you. Like, I can have compassion, I can have empathy for what you're going to go through and your struggles and all this stuff, but I cannot tell you that I feel so bad for you because you made a terrible mistake. Everyone owns their own decisions. You have to make good decisions, and if you don't, you have to pay for them. That's how the world works. That is the best way the world can work. We learn from our mistakes. So everyone who's, Terra Luna folks, I feel bad for you. Like, I feel bad that it happened. It's not great for the crypto industry in general. But you are you have to be the master of your own self. You can't be like, oh, I need a bailout, I need someone to help me. You have to be accountable.
97%, maybe more, 99% of the people that put their money into that token never read the white paper, didn't understand the fact that it was a
questionable design in the first place.
It's a crypto secured by a crypto. It's algorithmic stable coin that was, a guinea pig at best to see if it was going to work. I mean, there's a lot of red flags there if you just kind of do your due diligence. Really, like that's the separator between people that say it's a scam versus the people that are striving towards that. I mean, even 100 hours of research is 99% more than everyone out there. If you can get to that 1,000 hour, that 10,000 hour, like, you could clean up. And I believe, like, the information is out there. And if you are willing to take it in and really start understanding, then you could be very successful in crypto.
For sure.
It's just in anything, right? It's really what you're willing to put into it. If you're just meme coining and getting your information from, shills on
Your neighbor.
or wherever, like you're going to get what you deserve.
I do have a funny story. I do. So last year when I had a neighbor drop by, and it's right before Elon went on SNL and talked about Dogecoin. And I have this neighbor, boomer, came by just randomly to drop something off. And he said, "Hey, did you see Elon Musk is going to be on SNL? They say Dogecoin is going to go way up." So me, experienced person in the crypto industry, he got me excited. I was like, "Oh shit, I didn't even think about that. Like, it probably will go up. He's got like, it doesn't look that bad right now." And you know what happened after that? It just tanked right after that. Everything tanked after that. So it's funny how even people, I'd been in crypto 3, 4, 5 years at that point. Even then, he got me excited enough to trade some Doge, and it was just like, oh man, not shy. Even my wife was like, why'd you listen to him? Like, I don't know, it sounded at the moment, I was kind of in the moment. So
yeah, man, no, fear of missing out, very powerful.
Exactly. So we got a question from Mixed Crypto Arts, another part of the base of the RHMax channel. He shows up a lot here. Did you guys have a similar experience onboarding people? He says that friends with a strong connection believed it straight away. No coiners, bought 13K worth. Yeah, Matt, what has been your experience onboarding people? Has it most of mine has just like, they don't get it, I explain it, it's a scam, and that's about the end of it. How about you?
That's a good question. I think I have a little bit of an advantage than the average person in the sense that like I built some connections and credibility inside the real estate investor community because I've been doing this for a long time, and I've held events, and the other people that I associate with myself have a lot of credibility in the real estate.
So you have this body of work that makes it easier to talk to people about it with.
Yeah, and then the mindset of the average real estate investor are risk takers in a sense, because when you're investing in real estate, there is a degree of risk, right? And so they're open-minded. They're looking for opportunity. And so I find that people that are successful tend to have an open mind. And so when I started talking about, hey guys, if you got all your eggs in one basket here in real estate, that's great, you get it. But like, check out this because, there's some opportunity over here. And I said, I laid out my reasons as to why they should even throw in 10 grand and take a chance. Because
why aren't I throwing it away? I think it's the hardest thing to get. If you can get past that, they're in.
Exactly, right. And I'm just like, hey, you guys understand risk reward, you understand the opportunity cost, you understand return. Because in real estate right now, people fall over themselves for 7%. Like that's almost unheard of right now.
I have friends in real estate and they talk about the percentages. I'm like, why are you in it for these baby gains? I can't even listen to you right now. Like, why are you falling over stocks 20%? Oh my gosh. Let's go celebrate.
Exactly. And so when you can kind of reel it back a little bit for them and say like, look, like these sound like they're astronomical and scams, but here's why this opportunity is here and present. And I go back to, this is my principle, and most people in real estate will tell you, you make your money in the buy. You don't improve a property and then get more money from it. You got to buy that property at 50 or 60% on what they call the ARV, which is the after repair value. And then you've got to factor in your rehab costs and then your selling costs, and that piece that's left over is your profit. You still got to buy it here in order to sell it at today's price in its best condition. Right. You don't buy a property for the retail value, improve it, and then get more for it. It just doesn't happen like that, right? So you have to buy low.
What do you think more people go into? They go into flipping houses, go into things like that, and they say, hey, this looks like a good deal on a house. I'll throw 20, 50 grand into it, and I'll sell it for 5 or 10% more. What is that? Just a huge misconception for new people in the market?
Yeah, they think they can improve a property and get a higher valuation. I mean, in some cases, you could get, a higher appraisal than you anticipated, but you can't build a business on that. You have to buy property at, like I said, 70, 75% max if there's rehab of today's value. So if a house is worth 100 grand today, I have got to buy it at 75 grand or less, depending on the condition it is. I can't say, well, I'm going to buy that house at 100, put 20 grand into it and sell it for 175. There's no comp to support it. Mm-hmm. If a lender is going to lend on it, which most cases that's where your buyer is, they're going to look at the neighborhood and say, well, he wants 175 when all the comps are 100 and they're like kind in bedroom, bathroom, and square footage count.
Okay, so it's more about zeroing in on what makes comps go up or differentiates. For example, new bathroom, new kitchen, stuff like that.
Yeah, those improve the value, but it's not going to like double the value of the house because you improve the bathroom and the kitchen. So those are things that you have to understand, and you don't know when you get into real estate investing that you learn. But the reason that I bring that up was my initial point. And that's the same philosophy that I have in crypto. You make your money in the buy. So when you're early into a project, that's like the best price that you can enter into that asset. So you can't buy tops in crypto and expect to make money. Eventually, if you hold on to it long enough, you might. But if you're getting into an asset like HEX, pre a penny, that's why all those people are rich, because they made their money in the buy. They bought it, like my friend, 300 million HEX for 10 grand.
So you think timing even beats hodling?
Yeah, I do, because, well, they're both important, right? They're both important, but if you buy a top, that's going to be a more painful hodl than being an early investor. Like whoever sacrificed for Pulse and X will have it probably an easier road than those that get in the next 3 to 4 months and buy into the hype, and then eventually it's going to find a consolidation, and people are going to take their gains early, and it's going to come back down, and people are going to be underwater like some people are in HEX right now, and it's just mentally it's tougher to hold.
So when you're onboarding people and HEX is at 10 cents versus HEX is at 50 cents, how does that change the conversation?
Well, now you have a little bit of a historical time frame to look at. You're like, yeah, well, the all-time high was here. You look at the underlying metrics, average stake length has increased, average, holders have increased. I think it's still pre-viral. It's not listed on any exchanges, popular exchanges rather. It's misunderstood. I think it still has the stigma of being a scam and a Ponzi from people that are uneducated. So as the community grows, and I think a lot of more positive information comes out, like I said, time cures a lot of this, because at one point, does the scam and Ponzi run out of steam? 3 years into it, 4 years into it, as HEX continues to perform, and I still haven't met the person that's been scammed yet. So at what point does that run out of, the argument's got to be done by now.
That's a good point too. So what if, I bet there's a lot of people that bought at 50 cents or bought at 40 cents or bought at 30 cents. And they're looking now and they're like, this looks like a scam. How is this not a scam? How would you have that conversation?
Well, I mean, every crypto is in that position right now. So we are in a bear market for sure. you did buy at, no one could predict the bottoms or the tops. If you bought HEX for the right reason, it's designed for you to stake and hold for a longer period of time to delay gratification. So you should be staked. I'm 100% staked and earning that passive income.
If you're staked, why do you care? If you're staked for 2, 3, 4 years, what do you care what the price is?
Yeah, you've got to, you know, if you trust the math, if you trust that, you know, holders will increase over the years as more information gets out there, as like guys like myself are putting out content, writing books, doing lives. It should change the sentiment. You know, you've got the OG hexagons that have already made their money, so they're a little bit indifferent to the future of the coin, I think, because once you've, you know, it depends on what people's real motivation is. You know, if they're rich already and have got tens of millions or hundreds of millions of HEX, like, you know, they've already made it, right? So maybe they, you know, look to sell and not really care about who they're dumping on.
I see some of them are creating products though too. Yeah, like the HEX Investment Trust.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, you have like some hexagons, some of the you know, supposed whales. Who knows for sure? But you know, people who seem to have a very big vested interest are creating things that, you know, they don't want that 100x, 1000x. They want that, you know, or millionx. They want that billionx. You know, they see their money is going to keep compounding for 15 or 20 years, and they want to keep building those products.
And just to finish up your question, I mean, with what PulseChain is going to give people that are holding ERC20s and their HEX and their stakes getting duplicated and copied over, like no one else is getting that. Like, this is exciting. Like, I actually have a group. It's a private paid group just because I'm an entrepreneur. So if I'm investing my resources, my time, my money, and my education, I believe in paying for information and charging for it. I'm not like ripping people's eyeballs out, but I surround myself with people that value information. So I have a paid group on Telegram. I've onboarded a lot of people in there, and most of it is education on HEX and PulseChain and PulseX. So I've, you know, definitely feel like people that are serious about this will, you know, pay to get information. And that's just, you know, how I feel about it. Yeah. I do spend the time. The content that I put out, it cost me $4,000 a month to have professional camera people here, to have good quality content that looks nice. I'm paying them for their time, for their editing skills, so I'm investing into the community in a sense, because I'm bringing more eyeballs to it, and I'm using my own money. I don't get paid to shill. So I believe in the product. I believe in the marketing piece of it. So one way to recoup my costs is to, you know, have this private group. And I paid for the information. The first, you know, mentor that I had, you know, was 10 grand for me to get that information. It paid off. So, you know, that's just how that game works. And I'm cool with it. So I know,
as long as you're getting value. I mean, it's not bad. People look at things like, oh, you know, I need to pay for stuff. Yeah, you usually do. You usually got to pay for stuff. You want good information. Who's out there giving it for free? Other than Richard Heart, I guess he would say that. He doesn't, you know, monetize his streams or anything, but he's getting something back. He's getting the community growing. He's getting people on board. He's getting, you know, the glory. He's getting all that back, even if it's not monetary.
It's a different currency now for him, right? So, you know, it's a different time and opportunity and all that. So, you know, again, I mean, some people might be turned off, like, oh, you have a paid coaching, but like, it is what it is. You know, like, there's busy people out there that don't have time to research all this. They want a trusted source that they can get all their information in a condensed manner efficiently, and then make their own conclusions based on if it's for them or not. And I've built that reputation within the real estate community. So, you know, they're like, Matt, like, you're our crypto guy now. So I'm like, cool, like,
Nice.
join the group.
Yeah.
So it's just what it is.
I think the game theory, the social dynamics, all this stuff is just fantastically underrated, underappreciated, unknown. I don't think people understand the value of creating a tribe, creating a community,
Oh, it's huge.
having people. I mean, so pump. You go do it. You go do the work. It motivates people to go out there, pump their own bags. It is in your best interest to promote HEX, Pulse, Richard Hart. If you believe in what he believes in, and you are invested in the products, you're going to go out there and do some work, and you're going to do it for free. You're going to spend your own money. You're going to talk to people. You're going to spend your time and energy because it benefits you, and what benefits you can benefit others as well. It's a beautiful
100%.
thing. It's nothing greasy. It's nothing salesman-y. It's nothing like bad about it. It is you putting in the work because it benefits you, and hey, happens to benefit everyone else as well. It's a beautiful thing.
I like that too, because there really is no competition in that sense. Because if you're in a marketplace where people don't want to share their strategies or their tactics or their information because they're fearful that you're going to take their market share, right? Like I don't really think that's true in crypto. It's like the more people we bring in, the more we all win.
Yeah. I mean, I could see there's certain exceptions, like certain trades you want to make, you don't want to, you want the price to be the lowest when you make the trade, and certain like trading tips, but that's more of like a trading deal instead of people getting better because you have good information to share with them because it's benefited you, and now they can be bigger in the community, bigger in their lives, all that stuff. Yeah,
for sure.
So what do you? We're gonna get to closing. It's been a fantastic conversation so far, Matt. I've super appreciated it.
Yeah, thank you for
I wanted to ask you, what are you thankful for? Like, what is there? Somebody, like a product, a person, something recent maybe, or even in the past that you want to express gratitude to, and kind of explain it, like why, and just what has been a big part of your life that's made you that you can show thankfulness or gratitude for.
Yeah, I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful that I'm able to have a supportive wife, and I have 2 little boys that I love dearly. It's been awesome to see them grow. They're still young, and they're like, "Daddy, what's happening with HEX? And are we going to have do you have Bitcoin?" And they see me. They know who Richard is. They watch sometimes. It's got to be careful sometimes what's going on, but like they understand, like they get it. They're I choose to homeschool them, so I don't.
A lot of people are doing that.
Yeah. So I'm around them. I work out of my house, so I don't have an office to go to. Like everything's really done online for me. So
that's great.
Yeah, I'm thankful for that. Like I'm thankful that we've been blessed with opportunity to have resources to pay for that and to invest into them, into having students or rather teachers come and give them that one-on-one time, and thankful for my wife that handles them and nurtures them when I'm busy doing what I got to do to provide. So yeah, just and just the opportunity to be alive, and even talk about this type of stuff where there's people out there that have a lot of challenges, and they're just trying to find something to eat, let alone talking about how they could grow their wealth.
That's all great things to be thankful for. I'm happy that you are in such a good position to excel in so many different verticals in life, and have a family, and have really care about your kids' education, and just have a platform to talk to people and give them good information.
Definitely.
It's what's better. I mean, it seems like I guess other than being a billionaire, maybe in the future, what else can you ask for? That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, man, that's health and your most important.
For sure. All right, we're going to come to a close. Appreciate the chat, Gaimon. We got Mixed Crypto Arts, Hex on Air. Yes, this stream is one that I would go back and watch again. I mean, I'm going to go back and watch it because I got to clip out parts to share the cool stuff, so you guys can get some bite-sized information as well. I'm looking forward to listening to it again. That's how good it was, because I know there's some gems in the conversation for sure. Appreciate everyone showing up. Matt, where can people learn more about your book?
Yeah, I'll start promoting it and talking about it here over the next weeks. But I'm active really on all social platforms. I am posting more consistently. My goal is to have 2 videos a week on YouTube. I post every day on TikTok. Most often just information. I'm at Phenom Investor on TikTok, Matt Garabedian on YouTube, and Instagram is Phenom Investor 2.0. And you got to kind of watch the spelling because there's a bunch of like scam accounts that are imposters that are trying to scam people, unfortunately. So just be careful with that on Instagram.
Elon's going to clean that up. Don't worry.
Yeah, hopefully that'll be good. But yeah, I'm pretty easy to find on socials.
And the book coming out, you say June.
End of June is the goal.
Mm-hmm. End of June. So
yeah.
2 more weeks.
2 more weeks.
the famous 2 more weeks. Hopefully not 2 more months. Somewhere between 2 weeks and 2 months, right?
Yeah, on Richard's timeline. So we'll see.
Awesome, man. Well, it's been a great one today, everyone. Appreciate you all joining me. I know we overlap with Richard, which it is what it is. I give him the it's not biblical. I give him the glory and grace to do what he likes. But yeah, I totally get why some folks were late showing up. Happy Tuesday. I believe that's what day it is. And yeah, we're gonna have some great more content coming up this week. It's pretty full. Next week's going to be even more packed. So I'm so glad we could sit down with Matt today. I learned a lot myself, and yeah, I'll get the clips out, and we will say our goodbyes. Thanks, Matt.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. It was a great conversation. Thanks everyone for watching.
Yeah.